University of Illinois. I am going to go ahead and start recording, or somebody else beat me to it.
I started, but you can start too.
Perfect. I just want to let everybody know that this session will be recorded. So if you miss anything, about 12 hours after the event's done, an email will go out with the recording for the of the event. So if you want to watch it back later or miss anything, you will have a copy of that recording for us all. With that said, while we're beginning, just wanted to kind of go over a few things for everybody. Test your audio and video, make sure you're able to mute and unmute yourself. You'll be automatically muted once you've come in. Do keep yourself on mute until we get to the Q&A part, and then we'll allow people to raise their hand or unmute themselves and take turns to ask questions, or you can type those questions in the chat, and someone on staff will be able to answer that question either for you or read it out for the group so that everybody knows what you said. That being said, though, be sure to test out the chat. If you take a moment and introduce yourself, say, where you're located or something about yourself, that'd be great, so that we know that the chat is working. With that, I think that's everything. So want to briefly let faculty from Diversity and Equity introduce themselves if they want. We'll start with Sharon.
Hi, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome. My name is Dr. Sharon Lee. I'm a teaching assistant professor in diversity and equity in EPOL, and I am also the diversity and equity program leader, which just means I tend to be the main point of information if you're interested in diversity and equity.
And Dr. Pak, I see you here. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. Hello. Good morning. Well, it's not morning, is it? It's afternoon. This tells you where my brain's been lately. But I'm so happy to have you here. And as stated, I am a professor and department head of education policy, organization, and leadership, and have been here since the nascent start of our online program. Great ways, and we are here to support you and your efforts. And we hope that all of you.
Oh, your sound is a little bit muffled. Oh, there you go. Sorry. Can you say that last thing one more time?
Yes, and we are very eager and excited to make sure that you join us in every way possible, but you'll find us to be the place to be. So we can't wait to have you here. Thanks.
Thank you. And I think I saw Dr. Mason.
Hello, yes. Welcome. I'm looking to the chat and seeing where everyone is zooming in from. Hopefully it's cooler than it is in Champaign-Urbana right now. It's pretty warm. My name is Curtis Mason, teaching associate professor in EPOL as well. Happy to be here. Happy to see so much interest. And yes, welcome.
Thank you. And were there any other faculty I'm missing? I don't think so. Okay, just wanted to make sure everybody had a chance. And just wanted to let you know about some staff that we have on the call. So I'm Travis Giffen. I'm the Assistant Director of Online Programs here with the College of Education. And we have with us today Gina Poff and Brianna Davis. Brianna or Gina, do you want to briefly introduce yourself?
Sure. Hello, I'm Brianna Davis. I am the new online student advisor for this program. I'm brand new to this role, so I will probably learn just as much in this info session as you will. But thank you all so much for being here.
Thank you, Brianna.
Hello, I'm Gina Poff, and I'm the coordinator of online graduate programs for the College of Education. And I assist students from the time of inquiry through graduation.
Thanks, Gina. And so with that said, all of us will be in the chat. We can help answer questions throughout the presentation, but there'll also be Q&A at the end. I also wanted to let everyone know if any of your questions don't get answered or you'd like to follow up with us afterwards, you can reach us at gradservices@education.illinois.edu. I just posted that email address in the chat. You can send us an email there and we'll be happy to answer any of your questions that you may have. That said, I think we have the next parts of the presentation, seeing everybody type their messages in the chat. Good to see so many of you. Feel free to share what you're interested in learning about, what's your interest in diversity and equity in the chat as we continue to go along. But it is so nice to see so many of you. With that, I think I'm turning things over to Sharon.
Great, thank you. Yes, so we have a lot of students, a lot of prospective students, I'll say, our future students logged in. So feel free to, I appreciate reading all the introductions. It seems like we've got a lot of teachers here, advisors, DE people who are already doing DEI work, which is awesome. If you don't mind also writing in the chat a little bit of, why you're interested in this program or what you're interested in learning. Today, we'll talk a little bit about the requirements of our programs and sort of the structure of our programs and answer any questions that you have, in particular our online Masters of Education. And then we have a certificate of specialization as well. So feel free to write that in, but we can talk a little bit about what students in our program have pursued with these degrees. There are different pathways, whether you are interested in working in or are already working in higher education, K through 12, any kind of administrative work in schools, also in organizations. We have students in our program that work in human resources, any kind of curriculum, et cetera. There's a whole variety of different areas that a degree, so your degree in this program would be education, policy, organization, and leadership, but with a concentration in diversity and equity, with the specific perspective on diversity and equity. That is what we hope to provide for the students here. So a lot of times students will ask, well, what can I do with this degree? Or, this is where I want to go. So how do I, get the kind of job that I want to get? I always advise potential students to look at job boards, to look at positions that have postings of the kind of jobs that you want and see what's required. It might be a specific degree, but if it's a master's degree or even beyond with this emphasis on diversity and equity, then that's definitely one of the hallmarks of our department in the way that we teach diversity and equity and that we try to provide this foundational knowledge for students who start our program. So Travis, if you can go to the next slide, we can talk a little bit about our program and our approach. So our D&E program is a social justice oriented program that really looks at the foundations of diversity and equity or inequity in P through 16 learning environments, as well as in the human resource environment. So as I mentioned, students who get a certificate or a degree in diversity and equity, the concentration is within EPOL. So all students who take courses in our department under this concentration will earn a degree or certificate within EPOL. So your actual degree would be in EPOL, but then your transcript will list your concentration. So it will list diversity and equity. A lot of students will ask, will my degree from this program say it was online? It will not. It will say that it's from the University of Illinois, and we have online students and in-person on-campus students enrolled in the same courses. So you're getting the same content, the same material, whether you're online or in person. Next slide. So the way that our online courses are structured is that in a 16-week semester where we have fall and spring, we've got two parts of the semester. We've got a part of term A and a part of term B, and each term in spring and fall are 8 weeks long. So the first part of term A in fall is mid-August to mid-October, and then term B is mid-October to December. Spring is right after Martin Luther King Day through mid-March, and then spring B is March through May. And then summer, there are 6-week terms of which the courses are 6 weeks long, and there's a summer A and a summer B. So all these courses in this online program are online. We have students from all over the world who are online students, and most of them, almost all of them, I would say, do have a online synchronous weekly class session. So just like you would go to a class in person, you would log in on Zoom sometime during the week. Most likely it'll be Monday through Friday in the evening, Central Time. So it's usually between 6 to 9:30. It just always varies on what class it is. And there will be a live session, which will meet for about 2 to 2.5 hours, where you will meet synchronously with other students in your class, with the professor, with the TAs, et cetera. And you'll have a lecture, presentation, breakout groups, guest speakers, et cetera, as well as work that you would do during the week, readings, discussion posts, short assignments, exam, et cetera. Now it's up to every individual instructor of the course, but attendance is generally expected, meaning that one of the hallmarks of our program that we really like is that there is a live component, that it is not asynchronous in the sense that you're kind of learning in a bubble. We want you to be able to interact in real time with the faculty and with other graduate students. And so, but we also understand that there are times of the year where you might have to miss class, or if you're at a very different time zone, it would be up to that individual instructor to make accommodations if you couldn't attend for whatever reason. The tuition costs for our online program courses are $500 per credit hour. But there are no fees for online students, so it's just a flat tuition rate, and that is assessed by the campus, and starting in fall, it's $500 per credit hour. Next slide. So we're going to start with the EDM, the Masters of Education, and talk a little bit about the requirements for it. So it's 32 hours total. There is one required course, a core diversity and equity course called Historical and Social Barriers. It's a foundational course giving you a historical foundation and understanding different kinds of inequity in educational experiences and access. And then you choose 2 more additional core D&E concentration courses. So there is some flexibility to choose what you're interested in, as well as what is offered based on your availability and your schedule. Now, not all of these courses are offered every semester or every term, but the first couple of them are offered quite often, at least several times a year. But again, there's some flexibility on if you want to pursue this degree, to take what you want based on your availability and offerings. So you've got 3 courses there on the first slide. And then the next slide, then you select 1 course in EPOL, another foundations course. And so these are your choices at the 400 level. Again, there's a lot of flexibility for you to decide what you're interested in based on, what is available. I noticed that EPOL 403 shouldn't be on there because that's going to be your required course, but any of the other ones you can choose from for your 1 foundations course. And then the next slide, you'd select 1 foundations course in educational psychology. So these would be your selections for ed psych courses that you would take for another 4 hours. And then the last slide for the EDM is then you get to select 3 electives with advisor approval. You will be assigned an advisor upon admission to the EDM program. And again, this is very flexible. So these are other courses that you can choose from depending on what's available and your interest. So that's the total of 32 hours. And then the next slide, we'll talk about some other requirements. So 12 hours of your coursework must be at the 500 level. And then of that, 8 of the 12 must be in the major, must be an EPOL. And then we have a timeline of 5 years upon first registering as a degree seeking student to complete your Master of Education. So next slide, we'll go into the certificate of specialization. Is a little bit shorter because it's 12 credits. And this one you would take your required EPOL 403, and then you would select 2 additional core courses from this list. And a certificate is sort of gets you started within diversity and equity work. You would get a a printout from our office saying that you have this certificate in diversity and equity. And then if you decided to pursue a degree beyond the certificate at the University of Illinois, you can petition to have any courses you've taken as a non-degree student to be rolled into a degree program, whether that's the EDM or the EDD. Next slide for deadlines. So the EDM deadlines for admission are rolling. So there's multiple times to apply for fall, spring, or summer. And so there's a website to go and actually apply and go through the application process. But the turnaround is pretty quick because it's sort of a rolling admission, but those are your deadlines to submit all the required materials. And then next slide, we'll talk about the deadlines for certificates of specialization. These students apply as non-degree seeking students. So you apply through CITL on campus. And so there's the application there for how to apply for that. And then you would register for classes through CITL with CITL's help. And the deadline for fall would be July 13th. And then for summer, if there's a summer B course that you would be interested in enrolling in, I believe as long as the instructor approves it, you would be able to start to take. And as I mentioned, if you decide to apply to a degree program and you're admitted, you can petition to transfer up to 12 credit hours taken as a non-degree student in the program. So that is a brief overview of deadlines and structure. And we can, if you go to the, we can answer any questions. I know that there have been some questions in the chat box. And I don't know how many have been, I know Dr. Pak has been answering some good questions. So I'm going to try to answer, I'm looking as well. The EDD program, the deadline for the EDD, if we only admit in the fall, and our deadline for applying for that was April 15th. It's April 15th every year. So that would be a whole other admissions process and a whole other application process for the EDD program. If you're interested in the EDD program in diversity and equity, I welcome you to send me an individual email, and I'm happy to meet with you and talk about that process. Okay, Ariana says, Lamanda says, is it normal for certificate students to have those courses accepted for the master's program? If you take them as non-degree, as a non-degree student, yes. If you've taken courses at the University of Illinois in a non-degree program, and then you were admitted into a University of Illinois degree program, then it's pretty standard to have those courses accepted and rolled into a degree program. Now, if you started with the certificate and you took 3 courses and then you started the master's, you obviously wouldn't repeat courses that you've already taken. That would be a waste of money and it would be repetitive. So at that point, you would meet with your advisor, your assigned advisor, and you'd still need 32 hours to do your master's, but you can choose some alternative diversity and equity courses. Are all the core modules available in both semesters? The core classes, it really varies. Some of the key ones are offered multiple times a year, spring, fall, and summer, either in term A or term B. So there is some variability, but then some other courses, it just depends. Sometimes they're just once a year. I don't know the answer about financial aid. If Gina or someone can answer that question in the box. How many courses are recommended? That's a really good question. It depends on, everyone's different. There's no required set of courses, order of courses, or load that you take at once. I would say most students in the online program, almost all students, are working full time. So they will take a course in the evening, at their own, from their own motivation and their time. From what I've understood is that students who work full time, they can pretty much handle 1 course every term. So that would be 2 courses a semester, 1 in term A and 1 in term B. Some students can do more. Some students will double up in a term. Oftentimes they will tell me that they've regretted it just because it's a lot. There can be a lot of reading. There can be some weeks in a class where you have a final paper or a final lit review or something, or a group project. So there will be some weeks where you will have to spend more hours a week. Others, there's also flexibility. So depending on your work schedule, if you take one class in fall A, you decide not to take anything in fall B, that's totally fine as well. You just need to be registered for one class an entire fall or spring semester to say continuously enrolled. So there's lots of flexibility with how fast you go, how many you take. I believe you can take up to 5 courses in a semester, 20 hours, which is a lot. Without petitioning for an overload by the grad college. So if you're so inclined to take 3 in term A and 2 in term B, which it would be an enormous amount of work, but some students are able to do that, then you could technically finish the degree pretty quickly if it's 32 hours, which is 8 classes. I mean, you could do it in 2 semesters. You could do it in 3. Summer, there are courses offered, not as many as fall or spring. So it's very much up to you for how quickly you want to get through the degree program. For certificates, I don't know, Gina, I don't know if there's a similar timeline. I would recommend the same course load. The courses that you take as a non-degree student and a degree seeking student are the same classes. So it's the same course load. They're not different. You would just take fewer of them for the certificate. I would say that I've heard that the hours of work in a week when you take an online course is you've got the hours in class. So let's say that's 2.5 hours a week. And then depending on the week and the readings, it could be anywhere from additional 8 hours a week for reading and writing, 8 to 10. So consider that as well. Every class is going to be slightly different. If a professor will teach it a little bit differently. So there might be some that are known for assigning a lot of readings and some that maybe will assign some core and then some recommended readings. There are courses for summer B. I don't know offhand which ones still have seats available. So that's another question, is to see if they're still open taking courses. And then non-degree seeking students, they technically get the last priority to register, meaning what happens is when you register as a non-degree seeking student through CITL, you will ask CITL, I want to take this course. They will reach out to the department and ask the instructor, do you have space? Will you allow the student to take the course? And then it's up to that instructor to decide. So that is something that is individually decided upon. Okay, thank you for some of these answers.
I saw one other question about, is there a limit for how many students are admitted into the certificate program? I believe correct me if I'm wrong, the answer is no. It's just, I don't think so, if there's course availability. And
yeah, I agree.
The course is the only limit.
Yep. Most of the courses are offered during the evening. Yes, it's Central Time. So we are in Illinois, so it would be Central Time. Monday through Thursday, I recently saw an online course offered on Friday, and it's usually between like 6 to 9. The online, all of our online students are working professionals, so all the online courses are usually evening sections. They're not in the middle of the day. Casey has a good point. Yes, getting into online students, but once you're admitted, yes. So once you are admitted, if you're a degree seeking student, then yes, you get to register earlier, like the other degree seeking students. So, and we are mindful to making sure that master's students have access to the courses that you need to complete your degree. Absolutely. Is there a way to petition to switch from online to in-person? So it depends. I only know the answer for online. So I don't know if Gina can answer that question or if she already has. So yeah, I'll defer.
Yeah, if you have a question about that, I would email
Grad Student Services.
And they should be able to help you with that.
Okay. If you apply for fall term A and I'm accepted, do I have to start in fall term A or B? You can start in A or B. You can register, and then Gina can answer. You might be able to defer until spring, but she can answer that question. I'm not sure about the master's program. These are all really good questions. Does anyone have any other questions? Oh, thanks, Gina. Yeah, you've got to
Gina,
yeah.
So everybody knows in the recording, Gina was able to confirm, if admitted, you have an option to defer for up to 1 academic year.
Are students without an undergrad degree in education? Absolutely. I mean, our College of Education doesn't require a certain major for a degree. So we have students who come to the College of Education with many different undergraduate degrees. So that's the, that's amazing thing. Education is interdisciplinary. So, my undergrad and master's degree was in history. And I got my degree from this department in ed policy. We have students from social work, we have MSWs, we have students from psychology, from even students who have performing arts degrees, just if they're interested in learning about education, learning about how they've been working in schools as educators, or in learning technology. I mean, we've got people from different science backgrounds who have been teachers in that science background. So it's very open in terms of everyone's background, and we really value that and the different perspectives that come with it. Scholarship opportunities. So online students are not eligible for things like campus tuition waivers through TAs or RAs, but they are eligible for other campus scholarships and grad hourly positions. So there is a, thank you, Travis. Yeah, a website about resources and different campus awards, but there is a campus policy about online students and what they're eligible for than on-campus students. So that's just something, the fine print you kind of have to read when you apply for things. Meredith asked, would you suggest pursuing another master's? So that's up to you. Some students will have a master's in something and then get the master's of education. Other students, they feel they've already have a master's. And so if you look at certain job boards and they just require a master's and they don't specify what that master's is in, then if you want another degree, then some of those students then will apply for our doctorate degree online. So it's just personal choice. If you're looking for a career path that requires a master's in education, and you don't have that, then there are students who will pursue the master's of education. If it's just a master's is a master's, then it's just a personal choice as to what you decide to apply for. The certificate is something that is sort of, if you already have a master's and you kind of want to get some additional professional development knowledge about diversity and equity, then that's, again, sort of something extra to say, I've completed this certificate in diversity and equity from the University of Illinois, and that helps your, career development or the ways in which you want to expand your work into DEI, then that, you don't have to get another degree, so you've got this other option, but it is a non-degree. It's not a degree. So it's sort of like, it's an option if you want to start in it, or if you decide, I think I want to check out DEI work, I'll start with the certificate. And then if that really becomes something that you really like and you want to continue to pursue, then you could consider moving into the other degree programs in diversity and equity. Okay. The online EDD, does it accept a tuition reimbursement? It depends on your institution. So if it's the University of Illinois, your employee here, then what we advise students to do is, if you're admitted into the online EDD program and you work at the University of Illinois, there is an on-campus EDD program, which is the same requirements, where you could be coded that way, and technically, and you are on campus, technically, you could come to classes and events if you're technically on campus, then you would apply to the on-campus EDD program and then be able to get the tuition reimbursement. Wherever you work, if it's some employers, reimburse tuition. So it just depends on what their policies are. Will they reimburse something that you do completely online? That would be up to them and for you to check with HR where you work. And I see Gina answered the question about petitioning from online to on campus. Any other questions or comments? I believe Travis said that he will send it out to everybody within a day or so.
Yeah.
It takes a while to upload into the cloud. And then also keep in mind that starting tomorrow afternoon, the offices will be closed through the weekend for Juneteenth, I believe. So if there's a delay, that's probably what it is. But I know Travis is pretty good at sending that out. I don't know about international institutions. Gina, do you know offhand, or Dr. Pak? I don't know if, in terms of like tuition agreements, I don't believe we have anything official on contract with international institutions. So if that's something that an international institution has an agreement about tuition waivers, and I think that would be more on an individual basis. But I don't think we have any understandings with international institutions. I believe recommendation letters are 3.
Yeah, 3.
Is that correct? Yeah, 3 letters. Thanks, Gina. Oh, for education. So in terms of Tanya, like, does it translate into like international credits or degrees or things like that? That I also am not sure of. I'm sure it would depend on that international institution and what American credits or US credits they would translate for reciprocity or something like that. So I think it would be up to that international university to figure out what the equivalent would be in that context. It's hard to speak for all, for all institutions. Casey, you're welcome. Is there a application? So you do apply for a certificate program to be a non-degree student. So you do apply that way, and then you register because you'll get a university net ID and everything. But then to actually get the certificate, what you do is you take the courses, and then I believe when you're done, you would contact Gina, and then she can do an audit, see that you've completed everything, and then send you the certificate. So I believe that's the process.
Yeah. Yep. When you're done with the classes, you can email either Gina if you have her email, or you could email gradservices@illinois.edu. Make sure that we get you it.
Developing this program abroad, I might defer to Dr. Pak. I mean, this program is international by the fact that you can take these courses anywhere in the world. So we do have a lot of students who are doing them from different areas, from everywhere. So you would still get a degree from the University of Illinois, rooted in diversity and equity and EPOL from wherever you are, but I'm not sure if I understand the question about like developing the program abroad. Gina, do you know the answer to Ms. Benjamin's question? Does a certificate show up on ELIS? I don't know. So if you were to do the certificate and your transcript from the University of Illinois, the transcript will not say certificate because certificates are not transcribable. It will show the courses that you took. Yeah, and I don't know what ELIS is. So that's the downside about the certificate, is that it is non-transcribable, but it's super flexible. So you take the courses, you're done with it, and then our department will say that you have a certificate, but it won't, unless you have a degree, the degree will say your concentration of diversity and equity. So that's sort of the stacking of the transcribable. But it'll show the courses that you took, you know, and that internally within EPOL, you have completed the certificate of specialization. For the EDM, there is no thesis requirement. It's just the coursework. If you wanted to do a master's, so our college offers a master's of education and a master's of arts. If you do the master's of arts, which is not offered online, then I believe you do a thesis. But for the master's, there's no thesis. I don't think we've done an information session for the EDD online program, at least not recently, because we have such a huge influx of applications for that program. We've never really had to recruit. I mean, we just have so many wonderful, strong applications. So if you do have questions about that program, you can send me an email. I can send you some general recordings that I have created about that program. But that's 64 hour, I'll continue to tell you briefly, 64 hours, all online. You do write a dissertation. There are milestone exams, dissertation proposal, research methodology courses. It can be done all online, and it takes students like average of 4 years to complete. Same structure as the EDM, no required order of courses, no required number of courses to take a semester, very flexible, but there are some requirements where you take 4 core classes, 3 methods courses, 4 electives, and then you would start working on all your milestones. So it's more steps, obviously, it's much more credits, but it's structured kind of in the same way, where there would be courses you would take synchronously through 2 8-week terms in fall and spring, and then 2 6-week terms in the summer. Aaron, yes. So if you are a U of I employee, then we would recommend applying. If you are specifically interested in diversity and equity, which is, I'm assuming you are because you're here, then you would apply to the on-campus EDM for diversity and equity, and then your tuition waiver would work. And then all the courses for the diversity and equity, all the diversity and equity courses are online. So you would still log in online, even though technically you are an on-campus student, you are here, you are in person. So the only thing is on-campus students do pay student fees because you would be eligible for things like the bus service, the health center, all that stuff. So not sure how that works with your tuition waiver as an employee, if you also have to pay student fees. So there's always that you're a different category of student, but you are on campus, then yes, you should apply for the on-campus. The financial aid programs for the EDD program is the same as the online EDM. As online EDD students, you're an online student, you're in a self-supporting program, meaning you would not be eligible for the campus waivers, but a lot of students apply for federal financial aid, or they might have an arrangement with their employer that would reimburse for an online degree, or they can apply for grad hourlies, but it's a different category of students. So in terms of like the campus tuition waivers, online students would not be eligible for those, but they could apply for other scholarships and financial aid. Thanks, Travis. So we are more than happy to hang around if there are any other questions that you have, but I also don't want to waste anyone else's time. If you have all your questions answered, then you're welcome to log off and go on with the rest of your day. Otherwise, we can still hang around and ask any individual questions that you might have about the program. But we thank you for coming and hearing more about it. And Travis will follow up with you with recordings and other resources as well.
Yeah, thank you all for coming. There'll be, I'll have the slides and the recording information will get sent out to everybody who registered and attended here today. So everybody will get that. So thank you again.
Oh, and I see Aaron, do you want to unmute yourself? I see your hand's raised.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hey, Aaron.
So just a quick question again about to kind of go along with the on-campus versus online. I was originally applying for the online program since I work full-time, not realizing that all the courses are taken online regardless of which one. But I did see that the on-campus deadline has passed. Would there be any exceptions to that to still apply for fall?
Gina, do you have any suggestions on how to go about doing that?
I recommend you just go ahead and apply to the online program. And then if you send me an email to tell me that you're an employee that will be using a waiver, then I can recode your application to on campus.
Perfect. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I think that was my only question. So everyone, please enjoy the rest of your day.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks.
Lauren, yeah, that's a question that is, again, up to you. If you want to have a second master's because you need a master's specifically that's in diversity and equity that will say on your transcript, then there's a value, obviously, in having that degree. But if you already have a master's in a related thing and, maybe you just want to get a little bit more credentialing or some background to say, I am doing DEI work, then maybe a few courses and a certificate is enough. Some students will get 2 masters, they'll get a second master's in diversity and ed, but more students, I think, they already have a master's in ed, then they might apply for the doctorate in education because they feel like, oh, I've already got the master's, if I want to get a terminal degree, then the doctorate is the terminal degree. It would be the end degree. But it's up to you in terms of, where you are in terms of where you want to see yourself moving career-wise. And if you feel I really need to have a doctorate versus, do I need something specific to diversity and equity? If you already have a master's, it just sort of depends on where you want to go and what you need for that path.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. This was wonderful. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. And Alejandra?
Hi, I just have a quick question. If we are interested in pursuing the EDD, could this be a concentration for that?
Yes. Yep. The EDD has 4 concentrations. One is diversity and equity. Yes.
Great. Thank you so much.
Sure.
And I don't know if you put your email on the
slide.
chat. Yeah, that would be great. So I would love to get the recordings if possible.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll send Travis the link to the orientation recording I do for the new EDD students so that he can share that. I mean, it's going to go a little bit more nitty gritty into like how to register, but it'll give you the overview of the program and it'll kind of talk about some of the, the frequently asked questions.
Oh, that would be great.
I'll ask him to send that out with everything else.
Okay, awesome. And actually, I did just email you. I did see that on the chat. I wasn't sure that was yours, but I did email you already.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I see it. Perfect.
Okay, thank you so much.
All right, you're welcome.
Bye-bye.
All right, Martha, do you have any questions for us? You're the last one on. Oh, she left.
Nope,
Okay.